Well, hi, YouTube, I'm back with 6 books in isolation, and this one is so bizarre, but okay. It's called The Runaway Girl, a Titanic love story by Jina Bacarr. Okay, so read the blurb. Right. When Ava O'Reilly is wrongly accused of stealing, she has no option but to flee Ireland. The law is after her, and she only has one chance to escape: the Titanic. Aboard the ship of dreams, she runs straight into the arms of Captain Buck Blackthorn, a dashing gentleman gambler who promises to be her protector. As a fateful night approaches, tragedy strikes, and when Ava is separated from Buck, she must make a daring choice that will change her life forever. Now, I want to ruin this book, I want to spoil it, because the ending I just found so bizarre. It was just, okay. So Ava O'Reilly is accused of stealing this brooch. She's a servant, so she runs off. She's escaping the law, and she winds up with passage on the RMS Titanic. Okay, so she fingers though she has a ticket, but the fact is, as the law is after her, she winds up being a stowaway on the Titanic because obviously the law want to take her back because she stole this favour bush, even though she didn't. She's set up, and um, but the thing is, while she's trying to dock and just getting there, okay, she is in this boarding house. Cops are after her. People trying to steal her ticket. She is just trying to just get away. Okay, right. It's a bit here. This is when Buck, okay, Buck, who is, he's a gentleman gambler. Okay, he's a captain, by the way, and he looks out on her. And okay, right, right. It's a bit here. He had to admire her beauty from afar, unless he dared to mingle among the stage passengers, something unheard of even by trade, and would stoop to dirty his boots with anyone below second class. Buck had held no such views, and disdained the social gospel that dictated his way of living. He wouldn't accept the rigid boundaries that shaped the upper class when he moved in, so well he moved in. He found the ideas old-fashioned and meritless when it came to judging the qualities of matter most: honesty and courage. Right. Tempted though, and the lady was worth the risk, he prided himself in his honour as a gentleman lord, but he had no doubt he wouldn't be the only man aboard to notice a girl's stunning beauty. He could remain in control, not lose his head, but with others couldn't. Right. She begged mercy. The way she carried herself, she was no wilting lily flower, yet she presented a problem that scratched away the armour of his duty. He was bred to protect, a duty he realised, so he relished, but never evolved a girl like this. Because Ava's beautiful. Ava is beautiful. Stunning red hair, green eyes. And this is, okay, first of all, a Titanic love story. That's every single Titanic film. The thing is about Titanic is, terrible event, April 15th, 1912, early hours of the morning, is it was an absolutely horrific event in which over 1,000 people lost their lives. It was absolutely terrible what happened on that fateful night. The ship of dreams, the unsinkable, okay, the unthinkable happened to the unsinkable, and it was lost in its maiden voyage, and it just appeared from memory for 73 years till Robert Ballard found it in 1985. I've actually got loads of books about the Titanic over there, and I or most films about Titanic or books have a romance as a framing device. No different from A Night to Remember, Titanic by James Cameron. There's even a one done by the Germans, which I have actually seen, and from a thematic standpoint is fascinating. However, what happened to the actual ship itself, they played the Titanic. Something terrible happened afterwards, and I'm not going to discuss it here, but it was absolutely terrible. I'll actually find a link to what happened. So I love to understand Titanic between the classes, okay, between the Gilded Ages classes. It's fascinating because it's like upstairs, downstairs. A different case from Jack and Rose. My feelings on Rose, by the way, is I find her a very conflicting character. I'm curious to Kate Winslet for playing her, but I find her very kind of merciless. I find her very entitled. She can't figure out what she wants, and she she actually does some terrible things, says some terrible things. So, but I respect her for knowing who she is in her own mind. But at the same time, I think one of the worst moments, okay, is when Jack and Rose are at the dinner party, and there's Madeline Astor who was there, same age as Rose, in a delicate position. She's actually trying to hide it. Quite the scandal. And I'm like, okay, so how come is it you're a cheerleader for Molly Brown, but you just shown a woman, a teenage bride, who after the Titanic sank, suffered real hardship because in her husband's will, it said you can't be married, otherwise you lose everything. And then, she was a widow as a teenager. It's, her life wasn't easy, okay, afterwards. She was pregnant and alone, okay, it doesn't matter who she was. But she said, quite a scandal, ha ha. I'm like, empathy, Rose, empathy. Kudos to Kate Winslet there, because she was a very, very young actress at the time, and she nailed that. I mean, so, but anyway, just thought I'd throw that in. So, why do you talk about that? Anyway, back to the book. This is a book review. So, it might be a lot of the art of Titanic. So, there's Buck and Trey, the two men in this. Trey is engaged to a countess, okay? And Buck arranges for Ava to become her maidservant, because she hasn't got one on board, okay? Trey is typical. To me, he kind of represents, he's kind of like new money, okay? He's spoiled, he's entitled. And it turns out to be, okay, like a love quadrangle, okay? Because Trey wants Ava, Ava wants Buck, and the Countess, okay, and Fiona is supposed to be getting married to Trey, but once upon a time she actually loved Buck. It's quite confusing, okay? Right. This bit here. And the Duchess Fiona, the Countess Fiona is this bit here, okay? Right. Right, she's a beauty, alright. I have to admit, I didn't have any luck with her either, but she wouldn't give me a time of day, Trey shouted. That I didn't try, but you're right about the ship's run. I have 5 more days convinced her Yankee can beat an Englishman at his own game. Right. It was then he realised his duty as a protector far from over. I'm warning you, Trey, Buck said, clenching his fist at his side and trying to remember they were first sound of the Titan, another dot house in London's East End. The girl will bring you nothing but trouble. Keep your mind off Fiona, your future wife. Yeah, because Fiona and Trey are kind of had this like arranged marriage thing going on. Basically, Fiona has the money and the title, and Trey has his new money America. Okay, he's very, very gilded age. Yeah, so it's kind of like love quad between the two. Okay, but hey, and but the thing is, so Fiona, the Countess, is very kind of the opposite of Ava, because Ava can speak up. She's poor, she's nothing. Okay, but to the world around her, but she knows who she is and she will always speak up, and she love that about her. The actual social boundary rules are totally broken here, but I think that Jina Bacarr just didn't care, she just went with it. I actually loved Ava's, I'm poor, I'm Irish, I'm going over to America, okay, and I'm on the run, by the way, but I still know who I am, I'm still going to speak up, okay, alright, right. Mm-hmm. Right. How could it be that you, a poor girl in a family, no background, could take a man I love away from me? What I, a peeress in my right, could make him fall in love with me no matter what I did? I have a title and lands, but they mean nothing next to a beautiful face and figure. Oh, I think they mean quite a lot, by the way. You are a beautiful woman, Countess. Don't try to humour me, Ava. It's not becoming on you. I know what I am. Educated but plain, with a gift for romantic poetry, but not with romance in a man. She paused, her frustration shown in the tiny lines appearing around her mouth. Oh, why did I ever agree to this marriage? I could have made it with a spinster and happy with Buck at my side between love affairs if he hadn't met you. Right. Right, so yeah. So Ava is, the Countess is sus to this. Okay, and Ava gets to enjoy the luxuries of being in Fiona's cabin. She gets to enjoy a bath as well. It's like, your ladyship, can I have a bath? She's just like, yeah, sure. She's actually quite chill. I mean, when Ava oversteps her mark, okay, the Countess, and actually Candace one point actually hit her in the face, which wasn't cool, but, it's just the way it was with it. It's kind of like, what's your fulfillment and then reality, okay, because someone of Ava's status doing what she did, okay, would have earned her back in the time from her ladyship a slap, okay, so that's actually is realistic, but I'm like, yeah, I'm still on the fence about you, Fiona, but you actually realistic to your time period, okay, you can't be too nice, right. And then obviously, okay, the Titanic sinks, hits the iceberg, and Fiona dies. Fiona is killed. Fiona goes back to her cabin to get some earrings because she's going to wear them on her wedding day, and winds up falling, hitting her head, and she passes away. So at this point, Ava, who has got the Countess's shawl around her neck, is mistaken for the Countess. She is offloaded onto a lifeboat. Buck and Trey both survive, okay? They didn't go down with the ship, but they both actually did heroic things just to kind of think other people's lives before they managed to survive. So just throwing that out there. It wasn't just like, oh, enter a lifeboat, we're going to jump in. They actually helped save people. And whilst she's on this first class lifeboat, okay, people think that she is the Countess because Fiona never went out. Fiona never ever like saw anyone. She was quite reclusive in that respect. But people just think that she is a mysterious Countess, and it kind of snowballs from there. It's like halfway through the book, by the way. It's page 246. Your name is Fiona, surname Winston Hale. Right. Ava said, drumming her fingers nervously against her thigh, her black coat and red shawl brushed with sea spray. She reviewed her lifeboat and handed it to a steward. 1 2 hours had passed and she sighted the light of the ship that she was taken aboard the steamer. The open hatch hoisted through a boatswain's chest swung over the side. My good man, bellowed the woman behind her, patience waving. Can't you see the Countess is on the verge of mental collapse? Countess? Asked the purser, impressed. He turned back to Ava, his curious eye taking out the initials and crest embroidered on her shawl. Is that right? Yes, I'm the Countess of Marbury, Ava said in a clear voice, surprising herself. Inexplicably, a sense of pride expanded in her chest, filled up with a courage she didn't know she possessed. So while she's on the Carpathia, that's the ship that picked up the Titanic survivors, she's treated like a lady. She's treated like she's basically given her a private cabin. All the steerage passengers, okay, because the car system was still in play. The steerage passengers just had to kind of like muck in and like try to like keep themselves warm, and they just they're going through a real emotional trauma because they lost so many of their men. Whilst the ladies get first class cabins and servants and that kind of stuff. Very realistic. Yep. So she pretends to be the Countess. Okay, then while she's in New York, everyone wants to see her. This is big thing. This is absolutely that. Okay, right. And at this point, Trey is he's got to marry a Countess. So here she is. Right. Right. He was filled with regret for taking advantage of Trey's invitation to sail with him on Titanic. If he hadn't, things would have been so different. The Candace would still be alive, Fiona, so filled with fire. Under the surface, it never had a chance to know the comfort of a husband's loving arms or the passion of his kiss. The sincerity of her feelings towards him embarrassed him, but he missed her understanding. She always steered him in the right direction when he went off with his wild ways. Now she was at peace, a final resting place somewhere beyond the horizon. He always manly in his soul, forever young and charming, a true lady's chair should be the very thing a man dreamed of, never believed he would find. Okay. So, this is when it goes into absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so because the Countess is dead, okay, because Fiona's passed, they're going to pretend that Ava's Fiona. They're going to pretend that she is the Countess for titles and money. Okay? And this is basically Buck and Trey's idea. Ava is kind of like standing there pretending, and this is the thing, okay? Basically, Buck's ex is coming to New York because her husband died. She wants to get a Buck. Trey wants to marry Ava, who is pretending to be the Countess, so to get the titles and the prestige that his mother's always dreamed about. How messed up is this? This is so messed up. Right. I bet you 50,000 British pounds sterling I can pass Ava off as a Countess of Marbury. What? Trey's voice was incredulous. That's ridiculous. So in that situation, you'll get your inheritance by marrying the Countess and Ava will be safe. For Fiona was your friend, Trey said with sadness in his voice but never expected. So the whole idea was disloyal to her memory. She was. Buck tried to keep his voice from catching his throat when he said, I know it sounds cold-hearted, but I don't think I haven't thought it long and hard before I come to decisions. But I know the Countess would approve. They make a bet to turn Ava into an actual Countess, to pass off as a Countess. So Trey will give Buck money, okay, and then Buck will get his inheritance because he's got to marry a lady. And this is so, and Ava agrees to go along with it. Just agrees to go along with it. This is so wrong on every single level. It's unbelievable. It's just so wrong. And the worst thing is that it actually succeeds. It's just so disrespectful. It flashes with the Trey's ex, whose husband is going to come to America. Basically, wants to get in with Buck, so with Trey, okay. Gets with Trey. Buck is free to marry Ava, who parts herself off as the Countess from that moment on. Okay, right. First one to Ava, and I said I'll spoil this. Okay, right. Is when this is like New York City, spring 1962. Okay. Oh, Graham, that's the most beautiful story I've ever heard, Elizabeth said, her eyes glare with excitement. He sat still, her hands folded in her lap, the enchantment of all that was Titanic overwhelming her. Go back to her glorious time in life hadn't been easy for Ava. It was easy for her to tell her granddaughter the truth. The girl needed to know, but she prayed she understand that cold half facts that drove her to do what she did. The truth had that lay hidden for her for too long. So she told you the story of Ava O'Reilly and the Titanic. Right. So yeah, so basically they've been living a great life. Okay, right. Right. People haven't forgotten the Titanic, and I never will. Ava said, her chest tight. She forced herself to keep her voice steady. That's why I must give up what is mine. I owe it to the Countess. You've earned that title, Ava said, Buck insisted. No one could deny you that. No, you didn't earn a title, okay? You stole a title from a dead woman, darling. Okay, right. Her eyes sparkled at the proud notion in his voice. If she was a countess, it was because he had made her so. He had believed in her. He had taught her the only charade played in life to be untrue to yourself. Captain Buck is right, said Elizabeth, using her pet name for her grandfather. He worked so hard, Gran, and made outstanding contributions to so many charities. It was true. Ava had done her best to make amends. Ever since the tragedy, she worked tirelessly for the Titanic victims and their families, for a trust fund with the money she received from the sale of the Countess land in Scotland. Over the years, she also raised money for the Titanic Trust and created several charity events for the upcoming 50th anniversary of the sinking. Okay, so not only did you steal someone's title, you steal someone's land, no, you steal someone's name, you basically took their ancestral land in Scotland, sold them, and then, okay, the money was given to charity, but it was never your land to start with. This is actually a horrible book with some horrible people. So, to be honest, okay, since it was set in the Titanic, it could have been set any shit. The Titanic is just a framing device. It's insane. This book is absolutely insane. They want to make out a Titanic love story. Now, I like the premise, but what they did is kind of like, well, Fiona's dead, let's just still take what she had, pass her off, because, and the thing is, okay, is the whole concept of Ava was being framed, okay, by this thing. Well, you know, with all the rich people around her, okay, including Buck and Trey and everyone else, well, they could easily explain it. I mean, end of the day, okay, she was a pure dignified employee, okay, but when, you know, someone is standing there with a higher class saying that's not possible, who are you going to believe? Okay? So, it's ridiculous. The Titanic love story, the runaway girl, it's ridiculous. And the whole fame device of Titanic, it could have been set on any ship that would just, you know, hit an iceberg and sank in Ocean 1912. So, more of a framing device. Anyway, sign off here. 6 books in isolation. Bye now.